This episode of the Practice of Therapy podcast is sponsored by Mental Health Match, mentalhealthmatch.com, and also sponsored by TherapyNotes, therapynotes.com. Over 15 years ago, when I started my private practice, I had to learn a lot, and most of it the hard way, and I don't think you need to do the same. Hi, I'm Gordon Brewer, a licensed psychotherapist, and welcome to the Practice of Therapy podcast, part of the PsychCraft network of podcasts. Join me in this journey of discovery as we have conversations with other leaders and professionals in both the mental and allied health fields. Join us as we explore both the business and clinical sides of running a private practice. This is episode number 265 of the Practice of Therapy podcast. I'm Gordon Brewer, and glad you're with me. Glad you're on this journey. If this is your first time coming to the podcast, welcome. And if you're coming back for more, glad you're with me on this journey. And I hope you have taken time to follow us or subscribe to the podcast wherever you might be listening to it, and also leave us a review. I'm looking forward to you hearing from my guest today, Bethany Raab. And Bethany is a licensed clinical social worker out in Colorado. And one of the things that Bethany has gotten passionate about is really helping other clinicians learn how to market their practice in a way that doesn't feel sleazy, as she puts it, or non-genuine. And I think this episode comes good on the heels of last week's episode with Ryan Schwartz from Mental Health Match. And that Bethany and I kind of continue on that theme of what's the best way to communicate with potential clients. And that's one of the things that when I think of marketing, that's really what I think about, is that marketing in mental health is really no different than what you do in maybe an initial session with a client, where you're really trying to build rapport and connect with those potential clients. So you're going to get to listen in on Bethany and my conversation about that. And it's a good conversation, and also get to hear from her some of the resources that she's built around helping clinicians market their practice in a genuine way. Before we get to my conversation with Bethany, one of the projects I'm working on this year is doing some updates to a course that I've had out for some time called Google Workspace for Therapists. And I know a lot of you out there listening have enrolled in that course, and I thank you for that. But it's time for a facelift and an update of that course. And for those of you already enrolled, as you probably know already, you get lifetime access to the course, and along with any updates that I do. So one of the things that I've decided to do this time around with the updates is to do some collaboration with folks on that. There are so many great folks out there that are using Google Workspace in their practices in different capacities. They use them either as just like I do with the business side of running the practice, primarily the Gmail application plus the Google Drive and all of that sort of thing, which you can set all that up to be HIPAA secure. But also there are folks that are actually using Google Workspace as a kind of a practice management tool in terms of using it kind of as an electronic health record system. Now, I will say this, that Google Workspace would never really do you justice in replacing something like TherapyNotes, which they're a sponsor of this podcast. But there are a lot of people that are using it in ways that are really useful to their practice. So there's also a Facebook group just called Google Workspace for Therapists that I started a few years ago that has just exploded. There's like over 9,000 members in that Facebook group, and people just sharing ideas and how they're using Google Workspace in their practice. So anyway, if you are a user of Google Workspace and you kind of come up with a hack or a technique or something that you feel like would be helpful to people, I'd love to hear from you and have you possibly be a contributor to the updates of the course. And so if you'll go to practiceoftherapy.com/GWS updates, that way you can apply. Needless to say, it's a Google form that you fill out, and you just tell me a little bit about what you're using Google Workspace for and what you'd like to share in the course. And for those that get selected to be collaborators in the course, they will also get the opportunity to be an affiliate of the course, and that they can benefit from selling the course on their website or however they want to do that. So anyway, check it out, practiceoftherapy.com/GWS updates. And real quickly, again, before we get to my conversation with Bethany, I'd love for you to hear from our sponsors of the podcast, Mental Health Match and TherapyNotes, along with a message from one of my fellow colleagues in the Psychcraft Network.
Most therapists know that directories can be a good source of referrals, but which directories are really worth it? We are excited to share with you Mental Health Match. Mental Health Match helps nearly 50,000 clients find a therapist every month. Their smart technology ensures you get shown to only the clients who are a good fit for your practice based on the client's presenting issues, cultural needs, and budget. And their matching system helps clients feel an initial sense of confidence in you as a clinician. If you're looking for a new way to get more clients, try Mental Health Match for free today. Just go to mentalhealthmatch.com and use referral code PRACTICE for 90 days free. Trusted by thousands of clinicians across the U.S., Mental Health Match is ready to help you grow your practice with the clients you want. That's mentalhealthmatch.com with referral code PRACTICE.
Hey everyone, I'm Kim Tolson. If you don't know me yet, I'm the person behind the Traveling Therapist podcast, which is part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. I'm so proud to be a part of this network, along with Gordon at the Practice of Therapy podcast. If you haven't discovered the Traveling Therapist podcast yet, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. I'd love for you to join us and explore the ins and outs of running a therapy practice while you travel the world. Be sure to check us out at thetravelingtherapist.com/podcast for all the updates and lessons I'm learning as a traveling therapist and the adventures of other traveling therapists.
One of the keys to a successful private practice is having the right systems and processes in place to make things run as smoothly as possible. With a system like TherapyNotes, you'll have more time to spend with what matters most, your clients. TherapyNotes is a complete practice management system with everything you need to manage patient records, schedule appointments, meet with patients remotely, create rich documentation, and bill insurance right at your fingertips. Their streamlined software is accessible wherever and whenever you need it. Your clinical records will be secure with less paperwork, which means you can give a much better quality of care. It's the EHR that Gordon uses in his practice. Be sure to check them out today by going to practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes and be sure to use the promo code GORDON to get 2 months free.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome again to the podcast. And I'm happy for you to get to know today Bethany Raab. Welcome, Bethany.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I've been looking forward to getting to know her, and also just all of this, there's the topic of marketing is one that we kind of landed on, and just her passion around that. But Bethany, as I say with everyone, why don't you tell folks a little bit more about yourself and how you've landed where you've landed?
Sure. I'm a licensed clinical social worker who practices psychotherapy in Denver, Colorado, and virtually around the state. I finished my master's degree and started as a therapist in 2006. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm 16 years in as a therapist, and I've spent most of my career working with adolescents and their families in a variety of settings. They are my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also moved as I've gotten further into my career, become a parent. I've shifted my practice a bit to include more supervision and teaching. And part of what I'm teaching is marketing. This is something that was so hard for me early on in my
Mm-hmm.
practice. I didn't know how to do it. There wasn't a lot of great resources out there that were really easily accessible. And so I did some of the maybe cliche things. I sent doctor's offices my business cards.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to everyone I knew. I put my stuff up on boards in community gathering places like coffee shops and hoped for the best.
All right.
And I got off the ground. It did what it needed to. I've had a successful private practice now for 10 years. But have come to understand so much more about marketing. I've really worked on studying methods that are good for social workers and other therapists to use that feel authentic to us,
Mm-hmm.
that really highlight our clinical skills, because our clinical skills are exactly what we need to go and do great, authentic, non-sleazy marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We are so ready to talk to people in their own language and to draw people in because that's what we do every day.
Right.
So as I've
Right.
moved to a split between my beloved teenage clients and some less clinical work, this has really been a place that I've landed in, and I'm really excited about it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, you hit on something that I think is important for people to remember just about marketing, in that, really marketing is no different than what we do in a session, building engagement with
Mm-hmm.
clients. So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, it's just really about being, having people feel comfortable with you, I think, as much as anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that our rapport allows us to do is to build trust
Mm-hmm.
and help people understand that we have their best interests in mind, that we're there to listen. We're there to listen with open ears, non-judgmental perspective. And that's what people want to see before they even get in our office.
Right.
Knowing that we are a licensed clinical social worker or a counselor or a psychologist, EMDR trained, all these other things don't make a lot of sense to folks outside of our field.
Mm-hmm.
They need to know that the personal connection is going to be there and the non-judgment is going to be there. And the rest of it all comes later.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know one of the things that you're passionate about is doing marketing in just a genuine way. You want to say more about that?
Mm-hmm. One thing that I always felt as I was building my practice, and I've come to understand as I've supervised and taught these skills, are that there is nothing a therapist likes less than feeling stilted, non-genuine, like we can't communicate who we really are and who we work with. And I think that that's what the business card and doctor's office sort of approach and our website approach and our bio approach tends to lead us to. We see that on other people's pages, so we do it too, and it doesn't feel good because it's not us. It doesn't give anyone the concept of what it's like to be in the office with us. The other thing that I know I felt and that I hear from my folks all the time is that it just feels so sleazy. Like we're out there begging for clients. And when we're just out there talking about the pain that we help people address, the possibilities and the hope that they can have with working with us, it feels entirely different because it really does kind of harken to our clinical room.
Right. Yeah, I've heard it described as, as far as our messaging and being able to connect with people is if you can kind of tell the story of your ideal client in that you be able to portray that you understand, I wouldn't say exactly, but you understand what it's like in their internal world. That's what really resonates with people.
Yeah, feeling seen is something we all desire. And when we're in that panic point of something is so wrong, I need to reach a therapist, because we know folks don't call when things are good and calm, typically.
Right.
They call it at a crisis point. And so feeling seen, heard, and understood is imperative.
Right. Yeah. So in working with people and beginning to market their practice, what are some ways that you feel like they can kind of get started, and maybe a way to kind of create a framework or an idea about how to go about it?
You mentioned one piece that I always start with, which is that ideal client, the niche population process of who do I want to work with, and keeping it nice and narrow so that you have a group to talk to. I always give my niche in my private practice. One of them actually is I want to speak to the parents of lonely teenage girls in 8th grade. And there's a lot of reasons that all of those pieces go in there. It's that transition point between middle school and high school. Lonely can lead to lots of other things. I don't want to say, send me your depressed kids, even though that's really who I work with. That's who comes into my office, but lonely sparks. So it's about identifying those people you want to work with, and then figuring out some of the basic experiences they are having that you can speak to that aren't clinical in the therapy room issues, but more, Monday morning over a cup of coffee while everyone's still waking up. What are you talking about? The sort of water cooler talk. My daughter's not connecting with anyone at school. I don't know what to do. And hitting on some of those pieces of language for your ideal client. And that's where you begin.
Right. Yeah. Again, it's kind of being able to give words to what people are experiencing internally, and just being able to give them a language for that. Which, again, going back to what we said before, is that it's really no different than doing therapy. I mean, in that sense.
It really is. We don't typically have our folks walk into the room and tell me about your depression. That's not the first question we ask.
All right.
Specifically thinking in private practice, if we're working in an emergency room or inpatient psych, some of those places, it looks a lot different. But here we want to get to know the person. We need a lot of information, and so talking about, your mom tells me you're feeling pretty lonely lands a lot differently than your mom thinks you're depressed.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a clinical skill difference there.
Right.
But there really is language that fits both in marketing and in the clinical room. We want people to be able to hear us.
Right. Yeah. So, another thing that I think about with this whole thing with marketing is being able to help people find you, being able to, because I think if people that have listened to the podcast for a while have heard me say this, is that there is no lack of clients for us out there. There are so many people that want help and are seeking help, but it's a matter of them being able to find us and then being able to resonate with us in some way. Yeah.
In addition to identifying the client that you want to work with, or the set of clients you want to work with, the other part of what I teach and what I help people develop is a set of network partners and referral partners. And I specifically talk about referral partners because some of them are going to be other therapists who work and have an overflow with our same client, have adjacent clients. But network partners and outreach partners can look really different, can be coming on a podcast that speaks to your audience with someone, obviously you are a therapist, but someone who may not be. It's about thinking about who is in the world of your ideal clients and finding really authentic, meaningful ways to connect with those people. And then you really can build and we do this so much with other therapists already. We build that sort of mutually beneficial and positive relationship. You send each other people, but there's so many people out there working with our clients that aren't other therapists that if we can sort of tag in with them and offer a nice, well-rounded approach to working with them as whatever types of professionals we are, we can get to a lot more people than just thinking about the therapist to therapist method or the therapist Facebook group method, though those certainly have a place as well.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's if you think about it, um, we do best with I think the most effective way to market is what I'm trying to say is getting a recommendation from someone. I know, I recently had to buy a new washer and dryer. And so I asked my friends, okay, what do you have and why do you have that?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
being able to, and I'm just thinking in my own practice, I think probably at least half, maybe more of the people that we get, they come as, my friend said that they come here, or my doctor
Yes.
said that this is a good place, or all of those kinds of things
Mm-hmm.
are really kind of help people find us.
They really do. Some of mine working with teens are like soccer coaches, football
Mm-hmm.
coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're not unrelated in that we're working closely with teens, but it's such a different world. And coaches can become confidants for so many kids
Right.
that that's a really natural place to make a connection and to have, conversations and help each other understand what you offer to each other, honestly,
Right.
helping their team members feel happy and be able to get to school, get to practice, do well is super beneficial for them. And I
Mm-hmm.
want to work with the issues that they might be struggling with. And so it just sort of is this lovely cycle.
Right. Right. Yeah. And really what it speaks to is an investment of your time being connected in your community, wherever
Yes.
you might be. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It really is. And I think we as therapists do that so well within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can speak in Denver. There is a robust therapy community here. We talk
Mm-hmm.
to each other a lot. We're in online spaces together. Last few years haven't been as much in person, but we do that really well with ourselves. And this is about just sort of looking a different direction and seeing who else belongs in that circle because it is our community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
These kids
Yeah.
in Denver are our future. And so I want to help take care of them. And I
Right.
think the same probably speaks for you and your community with your clients.
Yes. Yes. That's very true. And I think, I know for me with a group practice, I think, um,
Mhm.
being able to people to have a clear understanding of going back to who are their ideal clients, who do they
Mhm.
enjoy working with, and who are they energized by.
Exactly. We do our
Mm-hmm.
best work when we have clients that are well aligned with us as much
Mm-hmm.
as they are aligned with us from their perspective.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, well,
One
Bethany,
of
I
the
know. No, go ahead. What were you going to
I
say?
would say one of the last things that I really try to teach and embody is that, like you said, there are so many clients. Looking at marketing in this way can help us take the competitiveness out of it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to compete against each other. There are so many clients, and we all do our own unique thing. So we
Mm-hmm.
can lean on these authentic pieces of marketing and not feel like we need to compete. And that's just going to make the therapist community better and stronger.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree. I think there's really no room for competition in all of this. Yeah. So, yeah. So, one of the things I know for you, Bethany, you're putting together some coursework and that sort of thing. You want to
I
say
am.
something about that?
I would love to. Thank you. I launched this last couple of months an online hybrid course called Meaningful Buzz 4 weeks to Grow Your Practice. And
Mm-hmm.
it is a partially self guided course with videos and content and worksheets, taking you through some of the steps that we've talked about today,
Mm-hmm.
identifying your ideal or niche client, who are your outreach partners, what language do we use, how do we want to talk to people in an authentic way. And it's paired with 4 online live sessions with me in a sort of workshopping
Wow.
setup where we all work together, we all work through some of the topic. We do some review from the videos, but then we sit down and we talk through what are the characteristics of your ideal client. Let's hash some of it out. So
Mm-hmm.
really people come out of these 4 classes and the course feeling really confident because they weren't just sitting by themselves trying to figure out how to do this. They've gotten a lot of good um, basic concept information along with the feedback in a safe place to sort of say, is this right?
Mm-hmm.
And really be able to work through some things to leave with a plan.
Yes, that sounds great, because I think one of in my membership community, that's one of the things that I know a lot of people are really interested in, especially in those beginning stages of just how do you get your name out there and how do you connect with people. I'm curious, Bethany, what are you with? Maybe I don't know if it's fair to say post-COVID, because I don't know that COVID's going anywhere. But
right,
when we all made the switch to telehealth and doing more online kinds of things, what did you kind of notice about some of the better ways to market in that environment?
I think our number one best way to market is to do excellent clinical work. Which has been certainly a learning curve these last 2 years, especially right at the beginning, to figure out how we best serve our people online. And I found that once that was sort of under control and my clients were sort of settled and we had our rhythm down, that I could really return to some of the people that I have worked with before, some of my referral sources, sort of re-engage with hi, I'm still here. Are you still here? And really re-engage. I did a lot of conversations just like this, on the phone, on Zoom, to really talk with people. And I have found that many people I've reached out to are really excited to sit and talk with someone, even if we're not in the same place. It will never take the place of buying someone a coffee to talk with them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I have found that people are really excited about connection. They're excited about growing their business. They're excited about serving their clients. And so just shifting online from in person has been really productive and really enjoyable for me. And I'll get back to some of that in-person stuff eventually. But I have found that the invitation and the scheduling really come very easily to a lot of folks.
Yeah. And I think one of the things too that has come out of it, maybe kind of on the client side, is that for a lot of clients, this is much more convenient to meet online, in that you don't have the commute time and all of that sort of thing. And so it makes what we do more accessible to them in that sense.
It does. I have clients, supervision and therapy clients from all over the state. And I am thrilled about that. Colorado has lots of remote and underserved areas, as I'm sure you do as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really helped me be able to reach into some of those places. And I will never not have an online part of my practice at this point, because of what it has allowed me to do and who it's allowed me to meet and work with.
Sure. And I would say the same for me is, it's just baked in, as they say now.
It is.
It is an option for people. Yeah. So, well, Bethany, I want to be respectful of your time, and tell folks how they can get in touch with you and find your things.
Yes. My website is Colorado, spelled out, Colorado LCSW Supervision. My courses are there, bio information blog. I have a team of supervisors that work with me. We're all there. And I'm really active on Instagram as well. And my handle is at Social Work Supervision. I have a couple different ones, at Social Work Supervision. And my marketing information and my marketing courses and any of that is open to all mental health folks. Doesn't matter if you are a psychologist or an LPC. I would love to talk with you. And you can be from anywhere in the country. So would love to hear from folks.
Awesome. And we'll have links here in the show notes and the show summary for people to get to that easily. Well, Bethany, I really appreciate your time, and I hope that we can have another conversation here before long. Well, again, thanks to Bethany for joining me on the podcast. And hopefully, with this episode and hopefully a lot of the others, I hopefully you find it helpful to just listen in on these conversations with you that I have with folks. And when I record the podcast, that's really what I'm doing, is just having a conversation. So it's a lot of fun for me, and I get to meet a lot of great folks. But anyway, check out Bethany's stuff. You can get to that by going to Colorado LCSW Supervision. I think that I got that correct. But anyway, you'll find the link here in the show notes. And again, thanks to Bethany for being with me on this podcast. And hopefully you've picked up a few tips or some ideas around how to market your practice in a very genuine way. And also, if you are a user of Google Workspace for Therapists and you'd like to be a collaborator on the upcoming changes of the Google Workspace for Therapists course, I'd love for you to apply to do that. So you can go to practiceoftherapy.com/GWS updates, and we can start the conversation there. And again, before we close out for this particular episode, love for you to go check out Mental Health Match, mentalhealthmatch.com. They are a platform for helping you match with your ideal client. They've put a lot of research into what they do, and they have thousands of clinicians and also clients that come to them that get matched with their ideal therapist, and the therapist with their ideal client. So be sure and check them out by going to mentalhealthmatch.com. And when you go there, be sure to use the promo code PRACTICE, and you can check them out for 90 days for free. And also big thanks to TherapyNotes, therapynotes.com, or you can go to practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes. They are a leading electronic health record system for mental health providers. They're who I use in my practice and absolutely couldn't do without them. So be sure and check them out. practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes. And be sure and use that promo code Gordon, just GORDON, to try them out for 2 months for free. That's really a win-win situation. They're a great platform as well. So take care, folks. Hope you have a great rest of your week or weekend. It's hard to believe we're into February already in 2023. So take care, folks, and have a great rest of your week. You've been listening to the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer, part of the PsychCraft network of podcasts. You can find out more about the other great podcasts in the network by visiting psychcraftnetwork.com. And if you haven't done so already, please visit us at practiceoftherapy.com and get your free private practice startup guide, along with a lot of other great resources and webinars and free things just by visiting. Also, be sure to follow us wherever you might be listening to your podcasts. This podcast is intended to be educational in purpose and is not intended to give legal, accounting, or counseling advice. If you need a professional, find the right person for that.